She's supposed to have her moment in the spotlight, announcing it all for the first time by herself.
So they've just released all her tax rises, basically.
This is the budget. They've just accidentally published the budget, because when we talk, you know, we've got... It says the publisher's forecast. No, as you were saying, Beth, basically all of the main measures of the budget are contained within this OBR document. I can show it to you, actually, now. I don't know if we can come off this shot for a second, because this is what has just been published accidentally by... And perhaps we can zoom in to show you that this is November 2025. You can see it there. This has accidentally been published on government websites. This is basically the budget. It's not that, you know, there's another document which the Treasury produces, but this contains all of the main measures of the budget, incredibly market sensitive. And as I say right now, Sophie, looking at what's happening in government bond markets, well, they are yo-yoing around all over the place in a way that no one would have anticipated before today, because, like I say, I've been doing this for a long time. Nothing like this has ever happened before.
The thing is, as well, you know, this is a massive political moment, like taking a step back, right? It matters for people in the country, but it also matters for, you know, the politics and the survival of this government. I don't think it's an exaggeration. And it is deeply embarrassing that this has happened.
It's beyond embarrassing. It is unconscionable. This kind of mistake. I can't tell you
as well.
just how carefully people hitherto have been sure not to publish this stuff online.
Also, it's market sensitive. It's as market sensitive.
And
that's
why
it's like
the guy who had to resign after...
we're talking about Hugh Dalton having to resign years ago for having accidentally briefed one measure of the budget. This is far, far worse. It is the entire budget.
I've got the headlines now. So freezing tax thresholds from 28 to 29 onwards, 8 billion, so that's the tax thresholds. Charging national insurance on salary sacrifice, pension contributions, that will be a big hit on business, 4.7 billion.
That, by the way, is much bigger than I
Much bigger.
expected.
We thought it would be about 2 billion, right?
Yeah, that might be the stealth tax beyond, actually, the other ones.
Increasing tax rates on dividends, property and savings, 2.1 billion. Charging on electric hybrid cars, EV vehicles, 1.4 billion. Gambling tax, 1.1 billion. And changes to capital gains tax release on employee ownership trust, 1 billion.
I mean,
that's the scorecard. That is the budget that's just been accidentally published before Rachel Reeves has even stood.
There's an awful lot for us to digest.
I just wonder whether they even do Prime Minister's questions now, or they just get the Chancellor up to...
It's one of the most irregular...
It's extraordinary.
This has never happened before, has it?
No.
Never.
No. It's extraordinary. And we are digesting all the details to bring you as soon as possible. But I feel like with the big one of the very big headline rates that we can now confirm, and it's important to tell you what it is the freeze on income tax thresholds for an additional 3 years. Of course, they said last year that if they did that, it was going to hurt working people. Well, they have gone on and they have done it for 3 years. That means 780,000 more basic rate taxpayers, 920,000 more higher rate, 4,000 more additional rate taxpayers by 2029 to 30. That is a big measure, a big tax-raising measure that has now been confirmed today.
It's like I say, I'm kind of lost for words because this is not supposed to happen, and the fact that it has inadvertently been published in its entirety for anyone out there in markets, in politics, the whole lot, it is a breach of unprecedented dimensions. And I imagine, you know, this is not just a little minor leak. This is the entire document. And it's already, people are trading on this, making money on it, losing money on it in financial markets.
Let's go to Prime Minister's questions. I imagine that Kemi Badenoch might well bring this up.
Mr. Speaker?
Yeah. If they arrest him, we stand with him.
Mr. Speaker, this has been the most chaotic lead-up to a budget in living memory, with resignations, hostile briefings, and...
Can I just say to a couple of you, if you don't want the budget, make your mind up now. Nobody
wants this budget, Mr. Speaker. With resignations, hostile briefings and leaks galore, even just in the last 10 minutes, an unprecedented leak of the OBR analysis.
Unbelievable.
Mr. Speaker, these leaks have been so serious that even the former chief economist of the Bank of England has said, and I quote, that Labour's fiscal fandango is the single biggest reason why growth has flatlined. Does the Prime Minister agree with Andy Haldane, and does he have an explanation for this complete shambles?
We all know the biggest shambles in living history, the Liz Truss budget. And what did she say at the time? Did she say, I don't agree, this must be wrong? No, she said, I think Liz Truss is 100% right. 100%. Not much room for flexibility. Not one thing was wrong with it, in her view. So we won't be taking lectures from her. Matters for the OBR are for the OBR. The Chancellor will set out the budget in just a few minutes' time.
Kemi Badenoch.
Mr. Speaker, we're talking about the leaks. The Prime Minister doesn't seem to appreciate the impact of these budget leaks on the UK economy. Even the Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister has said this morning that the leaks were unacceptable. So will the Prime Minister launch an investigation into the budget leaks and punish those responsible?
Mr. Speaker, it's literally about 25 minutes before the budget will be set out in Orly, where we'll take further decisions. The Chancellor will set it out, but thanks to the decisions she's already taken, we've got 5 million extra NHS appointments, waiting lists are coming down, mortgages are cheaper, we've expanded free school meals. That's 100,000 children lifted out of poverty, a moral mission for this government. Compare that to the record opposite any day of the week.
Mr. Speaker, he talks about the decisions she's already taken. If they were that great, we wouldn't have all those farmers outside protesting. He doesn't want to talk about leaks, but we can see that the chaos in Number 10 is having real-world consequences. Instead of focusing on the economy, they've been fighting like rats. Several journalists reported that Number 10 sources had briefed against the Health Secretary and other senior cabinet ministers. The Prime Minister then told us that these briefings did not come from Number 10. Will he repeat on the floor of the House the claim that none of his advisers has briefed against members of the Cabinet?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I've been really clear about this. No one in Number 10 has briefed against Cabinet ministers. And the Health Secretary is doing a fantastic job. He stood before the electorate just before the last election. He said we'd deliver 2 million extra appointments for the NHS in the first year of a Labour government. There he is. What did he do? Not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 million extra appointments for the NHS. They don't understand this language, Mr. Speaker, because they left everything absolutely broken.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister expects us to believe him. No one does. We all know that he did not have a serious leak inquiry. What he did, Mr. Speaker, was he asked Morgan McSweeney to investigate Morgan McSweeney, and then Morgan McSweeney discovered that Morgan McSweeney was innocent. All of this calls into question the Prime Minister's judgment. All of this calls into question the Prime Minister's judgment. We read this weekend that he wants the former Deputy Prime Minister back in his cabinet. He must have forgotten that she had to resign only a few months ago for tax evasion. When did the Prime Minister decide that lawbreakers can be lawmakers?
Mr. Speaker, while she's scrolling through Twitter, we've delivered rail fares frozen, prescription charges frozen, the minimum wage boosted. We're focusing on the cost of living, the single most important thing for this country. She's focusing on tittle-tattle.
Kemi Badenoch.
It's not tittle-tattle, Mr. Speaker. We all know that he's only talking about welcoming the Deputy Prime Minister back because he is desperate to shore up his crumbling leadership. But if he were to welcome her back, will he set a condition that she must pay back the £40,000 of property taxes she avoided, the same property taxes they're very happy to put on everyone else, and will she also return her £17,000 of severance pay?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the former Deputy Prime Minister is the biggest social mobility story this country has ever told. She started from humble beginnings and fought her way to the very top. I'm very proud of what she's achieved in politics. I'm very proud of everything she's done for this Labour government.
Kemi Badenoch.
That sounds like a no, Mr. Speaker. I've never heard the Prime Minister speak so highly of people avoiding their taxes. But in summary, this just looks like a government that is a slow-motion car crash. His cabinet are briefing against each other, his MPs are planning for life after him, and the most chaotic run-up to a budget in recent memory is happening on his watch. Even the Chief Whip is telling MPs that he wants out. The truth is simple, Mr. Speaker. His MPs don't trust him, the markets don't trust him, and the public certainly don't trust him. When will he finally accept that the chaos starts and ends with him?
The most chaotic budget was the Liz Truss budget. It did huge damage to our country. We're still suffering from that damage. And what did she say about Liz Truss? She obviously does still think it. When asked, was Liz Truss right? 100% right, she said. The most chaotic, damaging budget there's ever been. And she sticks by it. I'm very interested to see her response to this budget if she thinks Liz Truss got it right. Mr. Speaker, what we're doing is focusing on cutting waiting lists, cutting the national debt, cutting the cost of living, renewing our country, a Labour budget with Labour values, delivering for the British people.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At the moment, everyone is being bombarded with adverts and emails for Black Friday, encouraging them to spend money on so-called time-limited deals, leading to panic buying, increasing debt, buyer regret, and not to mention the impact on the planet, with delivery and returns of goods responsible for millions of tonnes of CO2 emissions. Does he agree with me that instead of rushing to buy online, people should look to their high streets to support local businesses and keep money in the local economy this Christmas?
Well, I want to see our high streets thriving, and we encourage everyone to support local businesses this Christmas. Through our small business strategy, we've got £3 billion boost to help small businesses expand, and we've tackled the most significant reforms to tackle late payments, the most significant in 25 years, Mr. Speaker. And the Chancellor will have to say more about that in just a moment.
Sir Ed Davey, Leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We've just seen in the leaked OBR documents that taxes are going up to a historic record high. So will the Prime Minister explain why Labour is hiking people's taxes instead of fixing the £90 billion Brexit black hole in the public finances by growing our economy with a new, detailed, brilliant trade deal with our European partners?
Well, he'll only have to wait a few minutes for the full details of the budget. But, Mr. Speaker, every week he comes here with the same problem. He always wants more spending, and he never wants to say how he's going to raise the money for it. The two things can't go together.
Sir Ed Davey.
Speaker, we want to grow the economy, not tax the economy. But if I can take him on to another issue, Mr. Speaker, I hope everyone in the House shares my alarm that a former leader of a political party in Wales has been found guilty of betraying our country and has now been sentenced to over 10 years in prison for his treachery. The Prime Minister said that Reform should hold an independent investigation, and he is right, but we both know that that's not going to happen. So given Reform won't, he must. So will he now launch a national investigation into Russian infiltration into our politics?
Well, he's right to highlight this very serious case, a long sentence for pro-Russian bribery in the Reform Party at the highest level. You would think a leader of a political party would want to get to the bottom of that and ask the question, how on earth did that happen in the Reform Party? And what other links are there between Reform and Russia? But no, the leader of Reform doesn't want to do it. Because, Mr. Speaker, we know he doesn't want to know the answer to the question because Reform is riddled with pro-Putin propaganda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, after 8 years of traffic chaos and increasingly creative traffic diversions, residents of Parkside and Marston Grange in my constituency are beginning to wonder whether the A513 at Beaconside is a permanent monument to the traffic cone. In the time that Staffordshire County Council and Taylor Wimpey have taken to complete one stretch of road, we've had 6 Prime Ministers, not to mention Notre Dame burned down and was rebuilt using medieval building techniques. So what can be done to hold developers and local authorities properly to account so that essential infrastructure is delivered on time with minimum disruption?
Well, it's staggering that an important upgrade for drivers to improve their journeys has been delayed for 8 long years. And I understand the scheme is currently being held up by the Reform-led council, Kel Sabri, who are proving as hopeless in local government as everybody anticipated. Mr Speaker, we've invested £24 billion in our roads, and I call on Staffordshire Council to end the delay, get on with the job and get this scheme started for her constituents.
Alison Bennett.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. University Hospitals Sussex currently have 350 people well enough to go home for occupying beds. That is the same number of beds as in Princess Royal Hospital in Haywards Heath in my constituency. The reason they can't go home is because there is no social care package for them to go to. This is terrible for them, puts strain on the trust and is ruinous to the taxpayer. Given there is no urgent plan to reform social care, what is the Prime Minister's plan to bring them home for Christmas?
Well, as she knows, we are reforming social care, and I've asked Baroness Casey to lead on that. And she's had the first of her cross-party meetings to build consensus, which is obviously what we need on this. As I've said out a number of times, the first phase will report in 2026, so we can reform as we go on. There will obviously be a phase after that. And I remind the House we've already boosted social care funding by £3.7 billion, record increases also to the carers allowance, and £500 million for the first ever fair pay agreement to properly recognise and reward carers.
Prime Minister's questions ongoing there is always a warm-up act to a budget, and I think even more so given that they have just published in an extraordinarily unprecedented manner effectively the entire budget before the Chancellor gets up to say it. Just to bring you some of the headline measures. So there is confirmation that they're going to be freezing tax thresholds for 3 years, total raising taxes by amounts rising to £26 billion by 2029-30. So that gives you a bit of a sense at those tax-raising measures in the budget. They're going to be scrapping the 2-child benefit cap at a cost of £2.3 billion. They're also going to be introducing a mansion tax on properties worth more than £2 million, or as they call it, a high-value council tax surcharge that is expected to raise £0.4 billion. The budget increases spending every year, reaching £11 billion in extra spending by 2029-30. But it is an awful lot of taxes as well. £26 billion by the same period. The three of us, I think, are shell-shocked, I'll be honest. We're digesting what is going on. Beth, what is standing out to you?
Well, look, the first point is, and I was absolutely stunned into the point of not really even knowing how to react, so surprising, is this leak ahead of the budget. And I cannot stress how I have never seen anything like it. There will be massive consequences and there will have to be an investigation as to why this happens. The reason that budgets are not leaked is they move markets. And it actually matters that this stuff is kept confidential until it is actually officially announced in the Commons. So for this to leak, and then also for PMQs to kind of carry on as if nothing happened when we're all reporting the budget measures.
The Prime Minister said you'll have to wait until the budget comes out.
I've never covered anything like it, and I don't imagine I will again. On the headlines, as you were saying, 26 billion, as we can work it out at the moment, in tax rises, that's 15 billion in personal taxes, 8 billion coming from freezing thresholds to the end of Parliament. There's a massive 4.7 billion on national insurance, on salary sacrifice, pension contributions. That, I think, is going to be a big hit to business as well, right?
It's enormous.
Just on that very quickly, Ed this morning was basically saying that was the one thing that he thought could end up being the kind of pasty tax or the farmer's tax. That is going to be
I'll tell you why that's a big deal, is because a lot of people aren't aware that they are part of this, and those numbers are big. They're bigger than have been expected. And as a result of that, people are going to be squeezed more than expected. And we talk about stealth taxes. That's definitely a stealth tax. If you're not aware that you're part of these salary sacrifice schemes, which if you have a pension, if you're part of a kind of private sector pension, there's a good chance you are part of one of those schemes, then you are going to be taxed by this, and that is a lot of money.
On the other taxes, you've got 11 billion more by 2029 to 30. There's an EV tax on electric vehicles. You're going to be charged on mileage. That's going to raise 1.4 billion. They're basically trying to deal with the fact that fuel duty will be falling as more people use electric cars. The council tax surcharge on properties worth more than 2 million, that's going to raise £500 million based on 2026 prices.
That's slightly smaller than expected.
Four price bands there. So for people in houses of more than £2 million. And then the child benefit cap is going to be raised from 2026, and it looks by the end of the Parliament that will cost 5.3 billion. So again, a bigger spending charge there than or a biggest cost than we perhaps thought. So at the moment, it's like £26 billion of tax rises. There's a big £5 billion slug on the child benefit, and I'm just trying to absorb.
We normally get this stuff through after the budget.
And we're trying to work it out, aren't we, as she sits down?
This is completely, there's only so many times you can say it's unprecedented, but it is totally unprecedented. This is, as far as I know, nothing like this has ever happened before. It is the kind of height of embarrassing. And markets have been yo-yoing kind of quite dramatically, actually, after
They're doing the same thing as us. They've
downloaded it and they're trying to work out. And having started off...
not control your messaging and how not to control your budget.